Title: Gone with the Wind, Love, War, and the Strength of the Human Spirit, Love, War, Resilience, and the Transformation of Society in Gone with the Wind. Margaret Mitchell's Gone with the Wind explores complex themes of love, war, resilience, and societal transformation, primarily through the journey of Scarlett O'Hara and other key characters during the American Civil War. Set against the backdrop of one of the most turbulent times in American history, the novel captures both the personal struggles of its characters and the sweeping changes in Southern society. Love, at its core, Gone with the Wind is a story about love, but not in the traditional, romantic sense. The love in the novel is multifaceted, often filled with contradictions and pain. Scarlett O'Hara's misguided infatuation with Ashley Wilkes represents a love based on illusion and idealization. Throughout the novel, Scarlett's pursuit of Ashley is more about her desire for stability and the old Southern way of life, which she cannot accept has been lost. In contrast, the complex relationship between Scarlett and Rhett Butler offers a deeper, more turbulent exploration of love. Their love is built on mutual respect for each other's resilience and ambition, but it's also marked by misunderstandings, pride, and emotional distance. Rhett genuinely loves Scarlett, but her fixation on Ashley blinds her to the deep, raw affection Rhett offers. By the time Scarlett realizes her true feelings for Rhett, it's too late. He leaves her, feeling emotionally drained and disconnected. Loving Gone with the Wind is never simple. It is tangled with the characters' desires, ambitions, and internal struggles. Mitchell portrays love not just as a source of fulfillment, but as a battleground where personal growth and heartbreak coexist. War, the American Civil War serves as the central force that disrupts the lives of the characters and transforms the world around them. Mitchell does not romanticize war, instead, she reveals its brutal reality. The war shatters the genteel life of the Southern aristocracy and brings immense suffering, poverty, and destruction. Tara, the O'Hara family's beloved plantation, serves as a powerful symbol of both the old Southern way of life and its eventual downfall. War alters not only the physical landscape but also the characters' moral and emotional compasses. Scarlett, in particular, transforms from a carefree, spoiled Southern belle into a hardened survivor. The war forces her to abandon traditional Southern ideals of femininity and gentility, teaching her that survival requires strength, cunning, and adaptability. War exposes the fragility of the Southern aristocratic lifestyle and shows how survival often demands sacrificing one's principles. Resilience, one of the novel's most enduring themes is resilience. Scarlett O'Hara is the embodiment of relentless determination. No matter how many personal and societal obstacles she faces, she refuses to give up. Her famous line, "Tomorrow is another day," encapsulates her indomitable spirit and ability to endure hardship. Scarlett's resilience often comes at a personal cost, as she sacrifices relationships and moral values in her pursuit of survival and success. Resilience is also seen in the character of Melanie Hamilton, though in a different form. While Scarlett's resilience is rooted in toughness and practicality, Melanie's is built on kindness, loyalty, and inner strength. She quietly withstands the hardships of war, loss, and jealousy with grace and dignity, offering a softer but equally powerful version of resilience. Both characters showcase different ways to cope with the upheavals of war, loss, and societal transformation. Through their journeys, Mitchell illustrates that resilience is not just about physical survival, but also about the ability to navigate emotional and moral challenges. Transformation of society. The transformation of Southern society is one of the novel's key themes, reflecting the drastic changes brought about by the Civil War. Before the war, the Southern aristocracy, including Scarlett's family, lived in a world of wealth, privilege, and deeply ingrained traditions. The war, however, strips them of their wealth and social standing, forcing many, including Scarlett, to confront a new reality where survival depends on adaptability, not heritage or status. The fall of the Confederacy marks the end of the Old South and the rise of a new order. The Southern gentry, who once held immense power, is reduced to poverty and humiliation, while former slaves and Northern opportunists begin to reshape the social and economic fabric of the region. Mitchell captures this transformation through her depiction of the Reconstruction era, a period of intense social and political upheaval. Scarlett, with her ruthless business tactics and rejection of traditional Southern femininity, represents the New South, pragmatic, opportunistic, and willing to do whatever it takes to survive in a post-war world. Her rejection of old Southern values reflects the broader societal shift from a world based on aristocracy and tradition to one driven by capitalism and survival. Conclusion: in Gone with the Wind, Margaret Mitchell weaves a complex narrative that explores the interconnected themes of love, war, resilience, and societal transformation. Scarlett O'Hara's journey is not just the story of one woman's survival, but a reflection of the broader transformation of the South during and after the Civil War. Through her characters' struggles with love and loss, their resilience in the face of overwhelming odds, and the profound changes in Southern society, Mitchell creates a timeless tale that continues to resonate with readers across generations. Overview of Margaret Mitchell's life and background. Margaret Mitchell was born on November 8, 1900, in Atlanta, Georgia, into a family with deep roots in Southern history. Her father was a prominent attorney and historian, and her mother was a suffragist and strong-willed woman who believed in women's rights. Growing up in the post-Civil War South, Mitchell was surrounded by tales of the Old South, the Civil War, and Reconstruction. These stories, often told by her relatives and other older citizens of Atlanta, sparked her lifelong interest in Southern history and culture. Mitchell was an avid reader from a young age, which fueled her passion for storytelling. She attended Smith College but returned home after her mother's death in 1919. Back in Atlanta, she took a job as a reporter for the Atlanta Journal-Sunday magazine. However, an ankle injury in 1926 forced her to quit journalism and stay at home, where she eventually began writing her famous novel. What led Margaret Mitchell to write Gone with the Wind? The idea for Gone with the Wind emerged during Mitchell's recovery from her injury. As she was confined to bed, she devoured countless books. When she ran out of reading material, her husband, John Marsh, suggested she write her own story. Inspired by the tales of the Civil War and Reconstruction she had heard growing up, Mitchell began to write the epic saga that would become Gone with the Wind. She worked on the manuscript in secret for nearly a decade. Drawing from her extensive knowledge of the South's history and her observations of how the war had shaped her region's identity, Mitchell's Southern upbringing and first-hand experience with a culture still grappling with the aftermath of the Civil War heavily influenced her writing. Scarlett O'Hara, the novel's heroine, is in many ways a reflection of Mitchell herself, a strong, resilient woman who refuses to be defeated by the circumstances around her. The themes of survival, adaptation, and the crumbling of the Old South are central to both Scarlett's personal journey and the broader historical narrative Mitchell wanted to convey. Historical significance of Gone with the Wind. Gone with the Wind is not just a love story, it is also a detailed account of the American South during the Civil War and Reconstruction. The novel portrays the collapse of the Southern aristocracy and the devastating effects of the war on Southern life. Through Scarlett O'Hara's eyes, readers witness the fall of the Old South, the destruction of its wealth and status, and the harsh realities of rebuilding a new life amidst the chaos of war. Margaret Mitchell's novel is historically significant because it offers a romantic yet complex view of the South during a period of immense change. The novel captures both the nostalgia for the pre-war South and the harsh truths of its collapse. Mitchell's portrayal of the Civil War and Reconstruction emphasizes the struggles for survival, both physical and emotional, and the challenges of adapting to a new social and economic order. While Gone with the Wind is celebrated for its vivid portrayal of Southern society, it has also been the subject of criticism for its romanticized view of the antebellum South and its depiction of African Americans. The novel's portrayal of slavery and the relationships between black and white characters have sparked debates about how Southern history is remembered and represented in literature. Success and impact of Gone with the Wind. Upon its publication in 1936, Gone with the Wind became an instant sensation. The novel won the Pulitzer Prize for Fiction in 1937 and has since become one of the best-selling books of all time. Its sweeping narrative, complex characters, and historical scope captivated readers worldwide. The success of the novel was further amplified by the 1939 film adaptation, starring Vivien Leigh as Scarlett O'Hara and Clark Gable as Rhett Butler. The film went on to become one of the most iconic and successful films in cinematic history. Gone with the Wind continues to hold a special place in American literature and popular culture. It is regarded as a monumental work that explores themes of love, war, survival, and societal change. Its complex portrayal of the American South and the Civil War era has kept it a subject of study and debate for generations. However, the novel's success has also been accompanied by ongoing criticism regarding its treatment of race and slavery. As society has evolved, the book's portrayal of Southern culture and its romanticization of certain aspects of history have led to re-evaluations of its legacy. Nonetheless, Margaret Mitchell's Gone with the Wind remains a literary giant, deeply ingrained in the history of American storytelling. Historical significance of the novel, its portrayal of the American Civil War and its aftermath in Gone with the Wind. Margaret Mitchell's Gone with the Wind is renowned for its vivid and detailed portrayal of the American Civil War and its aftermath. Set against the backdrop of the southern United States during one of the most turbulent periods in American history, the novel provides a personal and societal view of the war's devastating impact. Through the experiences of Scarlett O'Hara and other key characters, Mitchell captures the cultural, economic, and emotional shifts that the war forced upon the South. The Civil War, the fall of the Old South. The novel's depiction of the American Civil War, 1861 to 1865, focuses on the collapse of the aristocratic Southern way of life. The South, which had thrived on agriculture and the institution of slavery, is portrayed as a genteel society that valued tradition, social hierarchy, and wealth. However, Mitchell does not romanticize the war itself. Instead, she shows how the conflict brought immense destruction, physically and emotionally, to Southern society. Through Scarlett's eyes, readers witness the destruction of plantations, the loss of family wealth, and the death of many soldiers, including Scarlett's first husband. The novel illustrates the harsh realities faced by Southern families, whose livelihoods were intertwined with the Confederacy's defeat. Plantations like Tara, once symbols of prosperity, are reduced to ruins, and the Southern aristocracy, which once ruled the region, is left in tatters. The war brings hunger, poverty, and chaos, stripping away the wealth and status that once defined Southern society. Mitchell's detailed descriptions of battles, the scarcity of resources, and the emotional toll on families provide readers with a visceral understanding of how the war turned Southern life upside down. The novel shows not only the physical devastation but also the ideological collapse of the Old South, as the Confederacy's defeat shattered the Southern ideals of independence and superiority. Reconstruction, the struggles of the post-war South, the aftermath of the Civil War, known as the Reconstruction era, 1865 to 1877, is a significant theme in Gone with the Wind. Mitchell focuses on the challenges faced by Southerners as they struggled to rebuild their lives in a drastically changed world. The novel portrays Reconstruction as a period of hardship and upheaval, where former Confederate states were forced to rejoin the Union, and newly freed African Americans sought to establish their place in society. Scarlett's journey reflects the broader struggle of the South to adapt to this new order. As the traditional social structures crumble, she becomes a symbol of survival and resilience, abandoning her former life of luxury to do whatever it takes to save her family's plantation, Tara. Scarlett's determination to succeed in a world where the rules have changed mirrors the challenges faced by many Southerners during Reconstruction, who were forced to redefine their identities and find new ways to survive economically. Mitchell's portrayal of Reconstruction is complex, as it also delves into the political and racial tensions of the era. The presence of Northern opportunists, or carpetbaggers, who came to the South seeking profit, is depicted with skepticism, reflecting Southern disdain for those who sought to exploit the region's vulnerable post-war state. Additionally, Mitchell's depiction of freed slaves and their roles in Southern society has been the subject of significant critique. The novel romanticizes the Old South and downplays the brutal realities of slavery, offering a perspective that reflects the lingering racial attitudes of the time in which it was written. A society transformed, Gone with the Wind is not just a story about Scarlett O'Hara's personal survival, but also a broader narrative about the transformation of Southern society. The novel illustrates the transition from a society built on aristocratic privilege and slavery to one defined by economic struggle and changing social hierarchies. Mitchell captures the intense emotional and cultural trauma of Southerners, many of whom longed for the return of the pre-war way of life. The South's transformation is symbolized by characters like Scarlett, who embraces pragmatism and hard work over the romantic ideals of the past, and Rhett Butler, who sees the futility of clinging to outdated values. Together, they represent the New South, one that must adapt to the harsh realities of a world reshaped by war and Reconstruction. The novel's historical significance lies in its ability to portray the immense social, cultural, and economic changes brought about by the Civil War. Gone with the Wind captures the Southern perspective of the war and its aftermath, offering a glimpse into the emotional complexity of a society coming to terms with defeat and loss. Conclusion: Margaret Mitchell's Gone with the Wind remains one of the most detailed and emotionally resonant portrayals of the American Civil War and its aftermath. Through Scarlett O'Hara's struggles, the novel explores the collapse of the Old South, the harsh realities of Reconstruction, and the resilience required to survive in a world forever changed by conflict. While its portrayal of certain aspects of Southern history, particularly race, has sparked ongoing debate, the novel's depiction of the profound transformation of Southern society gives it enduring historical significance. Success and impact of Gone with the Wind in literature and its place in popular culture. Margaret Mitchell's Gone with the Wind has had an immense impact on literature and popular culture since its publication in 1936. The novel not only became one of the best-selling books of all time, but also established itself as a cultural phenomenon, deeply embedded in the American consciousness. Its success transcended the literary world, influencing film, media, and even societal conversations about history, love, war, and resilience. Literary success: when Gone with the Wind was first published, it became an instant bestseller, captivating readers with its epic portrayal of the American South during the Civil War and Reconstruction. Mitchell's rich storytelling, along with her complex, flawed, and fiercely determined protagonist, Scarlett O'Hara, resonated with a wide audience. In 1937, the novel won the Pulitzer Prize for Fiction, solidifying its status as a literary masterpiece. One of the key reasons for the novel's success is its ability to blend historical fiction with deeply personal and emotional narratives. Readers were drawn to Scarlett's survival story, her relentless determination to protect her home, and her struggles in love and war. The novel's themes of survival, resilience, and the search for identity during times of turmoil struck a chord with readers, especially those who had lived through the hardships of the Great Depression. The novel's narrative structure, combining detailed historical accounts with character-driven drama, set a new standard for historical fiction. Mitchell's depiction of the American South, though controversial, became an iconic representation of the Civil War era in literature. Gone with the Wind remains a staple in the study of American literature and continues to be appreciated for its intricate character development and sweeping historical scope. Film adaptation and cultural impact: the 1939 film adaptation of Gone with the Wind catapulted the novel into even greater heights of cultural significance. Directed by Victor Fleming and starring Vivien Leigh as Scarlett O'Hara and Clark Gable as Rhett Butler, the film became one of the most successful movies in Hollywood history. It won 8 Academy Awards, including Best Picture, and was the first film to gross over $100 million, a monumental achievement for its time. The film's release cemented Gone with the Wind as a cultural touchstone. The image of Scarlett O'Hara in her elaborate Southern dresses, Rhett Butler's famous line, "Frankly, my dear, I don't give a damn," and the dramatic burning of Atlanta became iconic moments in cinematic history. The film remains a landmark in American cinema, often ranked among the greatest films ever made. Beyond its cinematic success, the film adaptation of Gone with the Wind contributed to its long-lasting influence on popular culture. The characters of Scarlett and Rhett, with their complicated love story and fiery personalities, became archetypes in storytelling. The film's sweeping visuals, dramatic score, and grand scale set a standard for epic filmmaking, influencing countless movies and television series that followed. Controversy and critique: despite its enormous popularity, Gone with the Wind has also been the subject of significant critique, particularly regarding its depiction of race and the romanticized portrayal of the antebellum South. The novel and the film have been criticized for their nostalgic view of slavery and the Old South, often minimizing or misrepresenting the harsh realities of slavery and African American life during that period. The portrayal of African American characters in both the novel and the film, particularly the Mammy figure, has sparked ongoing debates about the racial dynamics of Mitchell's work. While Gone with the Wind was a product of its time, these discussions have led to re-evaluations of its legacy in modern culture. Some readers and critics argue that the novel glorifies a flawed version of Southern history, while others view it as a historical document that reflects the complexities of its era. The conversations surrounding race and history in Gone with the Wind have not diminished its cultural influence, but they have reshaped how it is understood and taught in contemporary contexts. Today, the novel is often examined through a critical lens, with greater awareness of the need to contextualize its portrayal of the Civil War and Reconstruction. Enduring popularity and legacy, despite the controversy, Gone with the Wind continues to enjoy widespread popularity. It has been translated into numerous languages, ensuring its reach across different cultures and regions. The novel's epic scope, memorable characters, and exploration of universal themes such as love, loss, and resilience have allowed it to endure for generations. Readers continue to be captivated by Scarlett's unyielding spirit and the story's grand portrayal of a world in transition. Gone with the Wind has left an indelible mark on American culture. Its influence can be seen in literature, cinema, and even fashion, with Scarlett O'Hara's iconic dresses inspiring trends. The novel's exploration of Southern identity, gender roles, and societal change remains relevant to discussions of American history and culture. The book has also inspired numerous adaptations, including stage productions, documentaries, and scholarly works that explore its impact and legacy. It continues to be a subject of academic study, not only for its literary merit but also for its cultural and historical significance. Conclusion: Margaret Mitchell's Gone with the Wind is more than just a best-selling novel. It is a cultural phenomenon that has shaped the way Americans think about the Civil War, Southern history, and storytelling. Its success in literature and film has cemented its place in popular culture, making Scarlett O'Hara, Rhett Butler, and the world of Tara unforgettable for generations of readers and viewers. While its portrayal of history remains a subject of debate, the novel's impact on literature and its iconic status in popular culture are undeniable, securing its place as one of the most influential works of the 20th century. A Brief History of the American Civil War, 1861 to 1865. The American Civil War, spanning from 1861 to 1865, remains one of the most defining events in the history of the United States. It was a brutal conflict that pitted the Northern states, the Union, against the Southern states, the Confederacy, primarily over the issues of slavery, states' rights, and economic and political differences. The roots of the American Civil War can be traced to tensions that developed over decades. The primary cause was slavery, especially its expansion into new territories. The Southern economy was heavily reliant on agriculture, particularly cotton, which depended on slave labor. In contrast, the Northern economy was industrializing rapidly, and many Northerners viewed slavery as morally wrong and economically backward. Other factors also contributed to rising tensions. The concept of states' rights was a major point of contention. Southern states believed they had the right to govern themselves and make decisions without federal interference, particularly concerning the institution of slavery. Political compromises, such as the Missouri Compromise, 1820, and the Compromise of 1850, sought to maintain a balance between free and slave states, but ultimately delayed an inevitable confrontation. The election of Abraham Lincoln in 1860, who was seen by Southerners as an opponent of slavery's expansion, was the final catalyst that led Southern states to secede from the Union. The war began in April 1861 when Confederate forces attacked Fort Sumter in South Carolina. The conflict quickly escalated as more Southern states joined the Confederacy, led by President Jefferson Davis. The Union, under President Lincoln, was determined to preserve the United States and prevent the secession of the Southern states. The North had significant advantages in terms of industrial capacity, a larger population, and a more extensive railway network, all of which supported their war effort. However, the South had strong military leaders, including Robert E. Lee and Stonewall Jackson, and the advantage of fighting on familiar territory with a motivated population that believed they were defending their way of life. Major battles of the war included the Battle of Antietam, 1862, the Battle of Gettysburg, 1863, and the Siege of Vicksburg, 1863. The Emancipation Proclamation in 1863, issued by President Lincoln, declared freedom for slaves in the Confederate States, which added a moral cost to the Union's fight and deterred European nations from supporting the Confederacy. By 1864, the Union, under the leadership of General Ulysses S. Grant, implemented a strategy of total war, aiming to destroy the South's capacity to fight. General William Tecumseh Sherman's march to the sea devastated much of Georgia, targeting not only Confederate armies but also civilian infrastructure. The war effectively ended when General Lee surrendered to General Grant at Appomattox Courthouse in Virginia on April 9, 1865. The fall of the Confederacy marked the beginning of the arduous process of Reconstruction, aimed at rebuilding the South and integrating millions of freed slaves into American society. The American Civil War was a transformative period that shaped the nation's future. It resulted in the abolition of slavery, with the 13th Amendment to the Constitution ensuring that slavery was illegal throughout the United States. However, the war also left deep scars and unresolved issues, particularly regarding race relations, that would continue to influence American society for generations. The Civil War remains a powerful symbol of division, sacrifice, and the ongoing struggle for equality and unity in America. The collapse of the Southern aristocracy in Gone with the Wind. In Margaret Mitchell's Gone with the Wind, the collapse of the Southern aristocracy is depicted as a profound and irreversible transformation of the South's social, economic, and political landscape. The novel illustrates how the once glorious world of the Southern plantation owners, characterized by wealth, privilege, and social stability, disintegrated in the face of the Civil War and its aftermath. The collapse of the Southern aristocracy. Before the war, the Southern aristocracy thrived on a social order deeply rooted in slavery and plantation agriculture.